Man, oh man, haven't been able to do one of these in a minute. What's going on, people? Ryan the Professional. All right, so we got some new patents that are leaked, plus we got a little bit or a little snippet of what could be possible in the future. So this is going to be pertaining to the PlayStation 5, most likely, I do believe. But there's also some stuff in here that a lot of people are contributing to a PS Vita successor. So we're definitely going to get into that as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to go ahead and tackle the first one here. This is talking about this new cartridge. Now, there is a new patent that's showing that Sony is developing a new kind of gaming cartridge. Now, the Nintendo Switch uses cartridges for its games, and you know, it does have a lot of benefits, really, if you think about it. They use cartridges. Number one, you don't have to install the game. You can just plug it in and pretty much play. The game will automatically start, and you're at the start screen. So that's cool and everything. But would Sony actually go the extra mile and incorporate that into the PlayStation 5, or better yet, a new handheld? Now, I'm going to move the PS5 off to the side for obvious reasons. The PS5, if they were to do that, I mean, don't get me wrong, that sounds interesting, but I don't really think they would go the extra mile and put that on the PS5. And the reason why is because, if you guys remember, we already covered that on this channel, and I'll have that at the end of the video. But Sony is using, supposedly, the new Blu-ray XL discs. The new Blu-ray XL discs are 4-layer discs that have 32 gigabytes on each particular layer. So they have a lot of space for the new XL disc. The only supposed downside of them using the new XL disc would be that the price could possibly increase. And I know a lot of people might go, well, Ryan, the price is going to increase, then they should go with the cartridge. Well, we don't know how much these cartridges are going to charge, or if they're going to charge you for the cartridge either. Remember, just because they're developing something doesn't mean that we're going to be paying no cheap price for it at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Every new Inquisition that they come out with, they usually charge you a higher price than what they should to make their money back for production. And then as the years go on, you get a more streamlined price, a streamlined design, plus you get a more simple price point, you know? So I don't believe that's true if they're going to do that for a PS5. Now for the Vita, see, the PS Vita was kind of ahead of its time in many ways. It was powerful, it had a lot of things to do. You can do a lot of cool stuff. You had the network, play your games, cross-play with PS3 games. I mean, it was cool. Sony was definitely doing some cool stuff with the Vita. The problem with the PlayStation Vita, it just lacked what Nintendo has so many of. And that's pretty much sellers, you know? Unit sellers or console sellers were really unit sellers in this point. Nintendo has Pokemon, right? By default, if a kid sees Pokemon in a custom themed 3DS XL or 2DS, them kids are gonna go crazy and they're gonna go, Mom, I want the new 2DS. That's the type of games that Nintendo has in that market. And Sony caught on to that too. Because they came out back in September when Andrew House was still the head of Sony Interactive Entertainment, and he's basically said that they will not be competing with Nintendo in any stretch of the mind. But, you know, that doesn't mean that this is not true. But I mean, again, because remember, he's not the head of Sony Interactive. He retired. I think last year he retired, or sometime this year he retired. But you get the point. There is still there's a possibility that it could be true, but I don't want to really delve into that at all until I see it. Right? I really don't, you know. And when you look at the market and how Sony has done with the Vita, the PS Vita is the lowest selling handheld that they ever had. It stopped and peaked at like what, 12, 14 million units, something like that. Whereas the PSP did wonders. It did ridiculously well. It actually far exceeded their expectations into the market. And I guess you can say Sony's arrogance or cockiness got to them, because remember, they went with power with the new handheld as opposed to really looking into building upon those future games that actually sold the PSP and PSP Go back when the system first launched. Remember how we had Ape Escape Academy, we had NFL Streets, Dragon Ball Z, Budokai 5, something like that on there. Man, we had so many games on the PSP. So many games, even Final Fantasy, everything was running so good on the PSP. But you notice how they didn't build upon those games, and you kind of just have ports or cross-gen type games, you know, on the Vita from the PS3, and then they try to push PS Now to it as well, you know. So I don't think Sony learned from that. If they did learn from it, then we shall find out in time, you know, with these new patents and whatnot. But I don't really want to delve into that at all. I really don't. I think it's possible, but at the same time, I don't think it's reasonable for them to do it at all. I really don't. I think it'll be a waste of money on their end. And you know, Sony can't be in the business to lose money on hopes and dreams. You know, it's cool. Even if they had a cool idea for it. Let's say they did manage to do something like Nintendo's doing with the Switch, where you can split it, or you can split it from the actual dock and take it on the go, so to speak, right? That'd be cool, but you still need that console seller, now don't you? So that's where I'm gonna leave that. Another bit of news here, and this is the major one. This is probably gonna be the title of this video, but Sony showed off a stunning new Gran Turismo reel that was shown off in a at the, what is it, the International Broadcast Equipment Exhibition. Now, it's basically a consumer electronics show on steroids. That's basically what they're implying. They were showing off a new 440 inch screen that had a 180-degree viewing angle, and this big, you know, screen pretty much plays everything and displays everything in 8K at 120 frames per second. And in the actual reel, you know, they always have these little reels to show off the quality of the screen. They showed off Gran Turismo. Now, Gran Turismo, you know, looking at it, it was running at 8K, 120 frames per second. Now, I want everybody, I know a lot of people are going to jump out just like, holy shit, it's possible. If they're able to do this, right, if this is truly going to happen, okay, because remember, it can run, supposedly it's running at 8K, 120 frames per second, okay, but we don't know what they did, you know what I'm saying? We don't know the full specifications. We don't know if they used a technique where they downgraded certain things to get it to that resolution or frame rate. We don't really know anything. We really don't. And it's a possibility that we could get something like this, but you got to take into account the market and us. Are you really looking forward to paying a little bit more? Let's say you're looking forward to pay $200 more for a PS5 or an Xbox Scarlet for visuals like this. I don't think this is going to be a thing. I don't think it's possible, to be honest with you. You know, even though racing games are easier to, you know, push, obviously, racing games are easier to push, I don't think this is going to be a standard. I really don't. And for them to show us at this event, it's cool, right? It's getting everybody talking, it's getting everybody excited for new hardware. But even as you get hyped and excited for new hardware, you got to take into account that just because you see one thing at 8K, a lot of you are going to interpret it, okay, that all games might run at that same resolution. And when you see this type of thing, you know, 120 frames per second, 60, whatever, you're going to start literally making that synonymous with all games. And that's just going to lead to false hope. And everybody's going to look at these consoles, especially the Xbox as well, and go, well, I saw this back at this event. How come this didn't look like this now? How, you know, remember how, come on, let's be real here. We kind of already been through this. Remember how at the February 20th event in 2013, Jesus Christ, everybody send me up. Excuse me. You remember at the February 20th event in February 2013. In the February 2013 actual event, Mark Sony and everybody showed off, what was that game? Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs was running on the PS3 or PS4, supposedly. And even though it ran on the PS4, supposedly, which we found out later that it wasn't running on a PS4, it was running on a high-end PC. Remember, it had much more detail, the weather was on point, the jacket looked amazing, all that. It looked that great on the show, and we didn't get that in the final product, now did we? Because the hardware was limited. So, just saying. It's cool to be excited, it's cool to look forward to the future, but we definitely got to simmer it down and definitely just look at it for, you know, as smart in the visuals going forward. We do. You know, we can't overhype these consoles, because at the end of the day, when we overhype these consoles, well, time and time again proves that, you know, they end up dying quicker rather than later, as these companies like to call them future-proof, you know? So that's how I look at it. I'm excited for it, obviously. Can't wait for any more, or for all the news for the PS5 and the new Xbox, but I gotta, you know, I gotta simmer my expectations, man. I really do. And I think all of us should just simmer them down and wait for the actual reveal, okay? So if you guys liked the video, hit that like button. I do appreciate it. Thank you guys again for checking out today's video. I'll probably be back again with another one, because I gotta talk about something else, but appreciate you guys again for that. All the new faces, welcome to the channel. And if you're new here, if you want to hit that subscribe button, go and hit it, hit the bell icon, stay up to date. I'll see you guys back here for more news on next gen consoles, rumors, gaming news.